All right, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. I got very sunburned, but that's how you know I had a good time. Now, in terms of my trades over the weekend, it could have been better, could have been a lot worse. I did get stopped out of that long I was in at a loss, and we did get a move to the upside right after stopping out my trade, but we found resistance on the point of control and then went on to break the range to the downside. So, at least I didn't keep my invalidation down here. I wanted to exit this trade once we broke local structure, and so that's the plan I stuck with. Yeah, I could have, stayed in this trade probably and came up to hit my TP, but, it is what it is. And we ended up getting that move to the downside anyway. So now that we have gotten this move down out of the range, and now that we have closed candles below this range, not yet a daily candle, but we have closed a lot of high time frame candles, including a 12-hour down below this range. We have seemingly broke out of it. We have also seemingly broken structure here on the larger time frame. So I want to go over my initial thoughts on this breakdown out of this range. I want to make some plans for if we maybe get a move to the upside for a lower high now that we have broken structure. Even if you don't want to call it 12-hour structure, we definitely broke 4-hour structure here with this being the last high or low. We did SFP it right over here, and technically SFP'd it over here, so structure's a little weird, but either way, we have most certainly broken 4-hour structure here. And so I want to take a look at some of the resistance levels that we have above us for if we get a move to the upside that could potentially turn into a lower high. I will also go over some scenarios where, maybe this isn't necessarily a bearish thing and maybe we just end up doing this kind of thing where we form a small range right below the larger range and just ends up being kind of a fake out, and eventually we'll get a move back inside of the range. And I also want to take a look at local price action here and see if anything is looking decent for a potential long. So I will start with my resistance levels. I did mark out one area of resistance here. Because it's the most relevant, I would say this is the only thing I have marked out at the moment. We could look for resistance up in this area as well, but this area, for a few reasons, is looking like the most significant resistance we have right now. So here I have marked out a daily order block as well as a 4-hour order block a little bit below that daily, and I have sort of narrowed down an area of interest here with the fixed range pull and the golden pocket. You can see the point of control of the downtrend is coming in right inside of that 4-hour order block, also right at the low end of the daily order block. So a nice area of confluence here, coming in around 29,750 to like 29,900, I would say. I think this is a very key zone because it is also the value area low of the larger range. So a lot of confluence coming in that area, and I think getting a move up and rejecting from this area would probably be the strongest sign we could get for a continued move to the downside. I think if we start reclaiming this range, maybe we can get a move up to the point of control and reject from there. The daily order block is still covering that point of control, so that's possible. But I think rejecting from the value area low, along with all that other confluence, would definitely show strength for a move to the downside. So that is probably my most key area of resistance right now. Like I said, technically based on structure, if you want to call structure this, where we technically put in a, it wasn't a higher low, but we SFP'd it, so we didn't break market structure here, and then we came up to put in another higher high here. So technically, following this structure, we could get a move all the way up to some of the order blocks that we have in this area and still continue a downtrend. It is possible, but like I said, it would seem like a much stronger move if we could not even reclaim the range at all and reject from this area. So if we start reclaiming this range here, then I could look higher for some resistances. And, if we're seeing confirmations, then it could make for a lower high as well. Maybe we come up to this NDPOC up here, which aligns with some of the order blocks up here. But I would prefer, if we are going to get a large retracement here, that we reject from somewhere in this area. Now, I don't like being too one-sided with my trading. I like to go over, as many scenarios as I see, both bullish scenarios and bearish scenarios, because usually when I get, too biased in one direction, that is when, price ends up doing the exact opposite, and I end up getting wrecked for it. So I like to take a look at both scenarios and just try and play both sides as well as I can. And although we did break structure here and we did lose this range to the downside, there is still a bullish scenario. And that would be if Bitcoin starts to range down here, form a very small range, basically hugging the low end of the range as soon as we break out of it, then there is a chance that we will get a move back up and through this range to potentially put in new highs. That is something that we've seen Bitcoin do a lot, both to the upside and to the downside. Like, if we broke out of this range here and started forming a smaller range up here, I would probably think, okay, looks like we're coming back down. That's something that Bitcoin likes to do a lot, and it would not surprise me if that is what happens down here. So I do want to mention that as a potential scenario as well. And, really the way that we would be able to tell is if, we've just been ranging here for a few days and, Bitcoin hasn't gone much further. We haven't seen much bearish follow through. And if that happens and, things are looking good on Market Cipher, money flow is starting to turn to the upside, we're starting to see momentum swing to the upside, maybe we even put in a slightly lower low with divergences, then I might start to think that this is the more probable scenario, but we'll have to wait and see how things develop here before, I can make any guesses on that. And that is pretty much what I am looking at as of right now. I mean, we haven't seen much development since we've lost this range, so, there's not too much to go off of. I do like this area, though. This is a very nice area of confluence here, especially since it lines up with the value area low, so I would say probably my strongest idea at the moment would be us rejecting from this area. Now, taking a look at more local price action, I haven't really done this much. I slept in today, so I haven't been trading at all today. But so far, we have put in a significant low here, and we have come down to SFP that low. So I may potentially be looking for either another SFP of that low, or for us to break market structure and then retest a key order block, and either see a Wyckoff Model 1 or Wyckoff Model 2 here. And, that could potentially get me into a long trade. And those would probably be the only two ideas I would look for, just looking at this local price action. I would long this as an SFP because it could, like I said, be a Wyckoff Model 1, and then I would be targeting this high all the way up here. And, if we start to break structure, then that gives me a reason to start looking for longs. Even if it isn't technically a Wyckoff, right now it looks like one, but still I would be waiting for structure to break before I start looking for longs here. So technically, if we SFP this, I would then be looking at this as the lower high. So even if I enter a small long here, if we come up to break structure and then get a retest, I may be looking for something else on that retest. And yeah, that's about it right now in terms of local stuff. So I will set an alert at those lows. I already have one at that low. And I will also set an alert up at this high. But if we hit this alert first, then I'll move that second alert down to this high. And yeah, pretty much that's my plans for the local stuff right now. So overall, we have gotten a bearish break to the downside. And, we could potentially be looking at a large retracement here, considering all of the insufficient price action that we have to the downside. We could fill this pretty quickly. So because of that, I will definitely be setting alerts at these areas up here. And I'll also be watching local price action. Maybe we don't even get a retest up here. Maybe we, just kind of swap structure here, get a little uptrend going, and then break structure bearishly. And maybe that ends up being the high. So I will be watching local price action as well. right now I'd say I'm biased towards shorts until I see something that says otherwise, which would probably be us forming a range here, at which point I'd probably be looking for longs at the low end of that range. And yeah, that is pretty much my plans at this moment. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one.